Happy holidays, birdwatchers! It's time for Out There with the Birds, the podcast that's a sweet avian elixir for your ears, with your hosts, Ben Lizdas and Bill Thompson. Out There with the Birds is supported by Koa Sport Optics, makers of the legendary 883 Prominar spotting scope. Visit sportingoptics.koa-usa.com to learn more. And by the Reader Rendezvous birding adventures from Birdwatchers Digest. Come birding with us in our favorite places. Learn more at birdwatchersdigest.com/RR. And now, here they are, Bill and Ben.
Ben Lizdas, you're back in southeastern Ohio. It's winter.
It is winter. It's like, this is the really like full-on winter birding season right now. And, you know, I don't know about you, but I always think of like that there's that species of bird you start seeing coming through that says, oh, that's winter birds are coming through. Juncos.
Yep, juncos. And speaking of coming through, we've just come through another milestone. We've hit the quarter-century mark on episodes of Out There with the Birds.
Really? We've been doing this for 25 years?
25 years, one episode a year. No,
wow.
Wait, that doesn't seem right.
It doesn't seem right at all.
Anyway, congratulations on sticking out this far. We haven't been fired yet.
Yeah, no, we have not.
And our listenership keeps growing.
Yes.
We're very we're chuffed about that. We're flattered, aren't we?
We love you guys.
Thanks for lending us your ears. So we're looking out the windows. It's a beautiful snowy morning, and we got some stuff to talk about, man.
Yeah, you know, I'm a little bit so winter birding. I missed out on the last big Reader Rendezvous experience you had in Cleveland. And who would have thought we could get a bunch of folks to go birding in Cleveland in December on the lake? But from what I hear, it was a pretty spectacular thing. And there's, you know, so you got the birding element of your recent Cleveland Reader Rendezvous. But another thing that made that a really cool trip, and I'm sad to have missed it, is, you know, those intersections of birding and culture that we like to talk about with music in particular. Right. And of course, while you're in Cleveland birding the lake shore and seeing all these great wildlife things going on there, you've got the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So how could you not go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? So tell me a little bit about birding in Cleveland and what the Reader Rendezvous was like. I want to hear about that.
Cleveland's a very underrated birding hotspot, and they're you know, people think of Ohio, the northern coast of Ohio on Lake Erie. They think of places like McGee Marsh and Ottawa National Wildlife Refuge and so forth. But Cleveland itself, because it's right on the lake, because there's open water there in the winter, and a bunch of rivers flowing in. The Cuyahoga River flows in there, the famous burning river of Cleveland's past. There's a lot of food, there's a lot of nutrient in the water, and there are lots of birds. So we were there on the sort of what would be called the leading edge of the winter buildup of birds. So big numbers of red-breasted mergansers, like thousands and thousands of red-breasted mergansers, more than I've ever seen in my life. But not yet the super winter ducks like the scoters, and we did see some goldeneye and stuff like that. But, you know, like harlequin duck wasn't there yet. Long-tailed duck, formerly known as old squaw, wasn't there yet. A lot of the super winter gulls weren't there yet, but we still did see, I think, 6 snowy owls in the course of the weekend. 4 in one day.
Wow.
We saw tons of Bonaparte's gulls, you know, snow buntings. We had a little cluster of 3 redpolls, common redpolls that were in Lorraine. So it was a fabulous birding experience. We only birded half days. We ended up with a really nice species list. We were guided there primarily by Jen Brumfield, the becoming legendary birder of Cleveland. She's birded Cuyahoga County in Cleveland hard for all of her life.
She is, I would say, I think of her as the best role model for making local patch birding exciting. And granted, you know, Jen could make a trip to the grocery store exciting. I mean, she's just so full of energy, and she always finds a way to kind of take whatever experience you're having and dial it up to maximum in a way that's fun, not exhausting. I mean, I love it when I get a chance to go out in the field, go birding with her.
Yeah, Jen makes the Energizer Bunny look like it's in slow motion.
So she's doing a big year though for a big county year.
Big county year,
and she's trying to break her own record because no one else is going to break that record.
So she told us about her big year, and I didn't know until she started talking about it that she was doing it again this year. I'd seen her posts and stuff, but she's not she doesn't brag about it at all. She's just
No,
going about her
she's a
business.
humble
But
person.
Tell you what, she's a bird whisperer. Every time we were out in the field, and I consider myself a pretty good birder. I go birding all the time. And, I guide several times a year. But man, Jen was just picking stuff out from a distance, catching little call notes and snow bunting flying over, tundra swans flying over. I mean, she's very impressive from a skill standpoint. And like you say, because she's concentrated for so many years on Cuyahoga County, she knows it inside and out. She knows what's special and what's not. She knows where to go to find the birds. Now, we did have a few challenges. She was frustrated because it was duck hunting season. The weather was unseasonably mild. It was in the 50s at times, low 50s. And it was a little windy, but it wasn't that nasty weather that pushes the birds into the harbors and into inshore waters. So a lot of the birds were way out. Even a pelagic trip, friends of mine that were on a pelagic trip that went out on, I think, Sunday, said the birds were way, way out in the middle of the lake. Because Lake Erie's shallow. If there's no wind, it's like glass, and the birds can be anywhere. When it's nasty weather, they want to get out of the wind and out of the waves, so they're in closer, which is better for birding. However, we also had the thrill, because Jen was doing this big year, of helping her to add 2 birds to her list. So
she was at what are the numbers here?
Her record is 270, I believe.
Yeah. And she's at 270 as of this morning,
yes,
I believe.
Right, or maybe a couple. I think she got a little gull a couple of days ago, which is a
Okay.
bird. So she had her target list of birds, and one of them was tundra swan, which we got the first morning. And another one we got the last morning was a northern shrike, which
That's awesome.
we spotted from way far away, and got her on it, and that was number
So northern shrike
269,
at a
so-
super far distance.
yeah.
How do you tell it apart from a loggerhead shrike? I mean, you
Well-
really kind of need to get that forehead look on the bird, don't you?
Yeah, this was a place where northern shrike had been seen off and on for a few weeks, and it did this little thing. It flew up to a wire, I believe, or a tree branch. I can't remember. It was so far away you couldn't really see. There were some wires coming down along a railroad right away. This bird flew up, and it did this little flick of the tail thing that shrikes do. And I saw it from a distance through my scope, and I was like, "Oh, hey, Jen, look at this!" And she's like, "Nailed it!"
Yeah.
That was the bird. So it just did this little tail flick thing. Actually, most people, and to most times when I see a shrike, you're sort of like mockingbird shrike, and you want to get that look, and you get that literally the loggerhead look, the big headed look that both shrike species have, and that powerful bill and the dark mask, of course, that are all more massive and powerful, and they look like they could kill things, and they can.
And they do kill things, don't they?
So that was really cool to be part of that. And so we got her to 269. Now she's at 270. I'm sure she's going to break it. She's only got a few days, but
I was checking out a recent post of hers on social media, and she was eyeing up some common red poles that were just across the county line and some feeders, and she's looking at the weather, trying to forecast, all right, if we get northwestern winds coming through, it could blow those birds. And so, I mean, she's just dialed into, and that's the thing about that local patch birding is that you become really attuned to all the little possibilities that are out there, because you're kind of limiting your, by limiting your range, the birds have to come to you to some extent. And so those tantalizing birds are just across a county line somewhere across
an arbitrary county line, which birds don't pay any attention to.
Of course.
Anyway. Now, the difference with Cuyahoga County and some of the counties surrounding it is Cuyahoga County is Cleveland. It's urban Cleveland. It's got very little green space.
Yeah.
So there are places like the legendary Wendy Park that Jen's done a ton of her birding in, which is literally, to me, it looks like a little park where there's a boat ramp and some picnic tables. Like literally, it's like almost a roadside park on the lake.
Yeah.
But it's this little patch, much like Central Park in Manhattan, this little patch of habitat that draws birds in like a magnet, because there's nothing else around. Everything else is concrete and buildings and roads, and so it's an impressive thing, and we wish her all the best. Jen, shout out. That was an awesome experience. Adding to that, sort of, several days of half days of intense birding in the morning. In the afternoons, we went to 2 of the Midwest's, or maybe even the country's, best museums.
Yeah.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, as you mentioned.
Yep.
We were guided by our friend Buster Banish, who is also a Swarovski field tech.
Yeah, Buster's a birder.
And a longtime school teacher in the Cleveland City Schools, a coach of sports, and just a great, all-around great guy. Super, super good birder. And he has been a docent at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame since it opened.
When you were there, did you get to see Elvis's binoculars?
We did not see Elvis's binoculars. We did not see his his peanut butter banana sandwiches. We did see lots of stuff. We saw, the outfit Prince was wearing when he played that amazing guitar solo at the George Harrison tribute on the song "While My Guitar Gently Weeps." That legendary, jaw-dropping solo. The outfit that Prince was wearing is there. You go into a theater, you see the solo, you come out. This is at the Rock Hall. You come out, and there's his outfit that he was wearing. Of course, Prince just died not too long ago. So the Rock Hall is fantastic. I was there 15 years ago on my 40th birthday, and had a fabulous experience then. It was the Rock Hall hadn't been open all that long at that time, and this time I remembered it very differently. It's much more interactive now. There's sound and video and interviews and stuff coming at you every place you go. There's literally, it's not a museum like you would think of a museum where you go and you look at stuff in cases and it's quiet and you kind of, you're thinking, you're pensive. This is a totally interactive museum where, you can take quizzes, you can go to, there's a machine where you can see what the #1 song was the day you were born. While we were there, on the top floor was an exhibit from Rolling Stone magazine, every cover of Rolling Stone magazine ever.
Oh, wow.
Which was phenomenal.
Oh, that is really cool.
And Buster took us to his favorite aspect of that. They had the Rolling Stone original offices recreated there. And in a case in the Rolling Stone, the recreated office, was a full-page ad that had appeared in an early issue of Rolling Stone that said, "Send us your name in this coupon, and our creative director will make you a hand-tooled roach clip on his lathe, custom made." And there was a hand-tooled lathe-made roach clip right there. Rolling Stone, you would send your name in, and he would send you that for free. You didn't have to subscribe. So I was thinking about a circulation bonus like that for Birdwatchers Digest. I wonder what we could do, man. Something. I'm not sure roach clip would be good.
Yeah.
But anyway, just cool stuff. And it was neat to go with Buster because he's so enthusiastic about music and he knows tons and tons about music. And he's been through the Rock Hall so many times. They don't offer tours anymore. You just pay to get there and you go in.
It pays to have connections. Huh? That's who you know, right?
Totally. And Buster was just an awesome guy. People came out of there. We'd been birding all day. We'd been on our feet. We're on our feet for several hours at the Rock Hall. I was thinking everybody would be tired. They were like, I could have gone through. I could have stayed there 3 more hours. I mean, it was so awesome.
But you had somewhere else to do. What was the other place? There's a second museum here.
The next day, we went to the Cleveland Museum of Natural History, where our friend Dr. Andy Jones, who's the curator of ornithology there, gave us a behind-the-scenes tour. And he took us around to some of the more exciting things like Balto, the original dog that took the serum to Nome, people were dying in Nome, Alaska. You haven't seen it? It's a Disney movie, Balto.
Okay.
Anyway, this is the origination.
Was Balto like pre-Lassie?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Balto's the reason why there's an Iditarod. The Iditarod is a recreation of Balto's journey to save.
Are you making this up?
No, I'm not.
All right.
So anyway, that was cool. We saw.
I have to fact check this.
Prehistoric shark that lived in Cleveland. Then Andy took us downstairs, and we got to see the bird range downstairs. Yeah. And he pulled out drawer after drawer after drawer of mannequins and quetzals and trogons and penguins. And he pulled out, Eskimo curlew and ivory-billed woodpecker.
And I want clarification for the audience here. He's not pulling out live birds. These are skins.
These are stuffed skins, museum
specimens. If he's pulling out curlews and ivory-billed woodpeckers, that's
a different.
That'd be a different kind of fact check we'd have to do again.
Check, see if you got your roach clip on that.
That's right.
But and one of the neatest things there, and this floored me. He pulled out a mounted cackling goose that looked old. It looked like it'd been around for a long, long time. That it was collected by John James Audubon.
That's amazing. That is cool to kind of have that touch of history. John James Audubon stuffed this bird.
And so the Cleveland Museum has it. It's that place is just killer, and they're doing important work there with studying things. They're doing a study of a hybrid Parula cerulean warbler. They had that hybrid. I think it was a western and Couch's kingbird or something like that was on Kelly's Island a few years ago. So they're just doing really cool work there. It was so
they're archiving things, but they're also doing research. It sounds like that's neat.
So that's neat. Birding is great. Field birding is awesome. It's cool to get a peek in behind the curtain of ornithology too.
Yeah,
to see what these people are doing, how they love birds just as much as we do. They're approaching it from a more scientific standpoint.
That sounds like a great event. I like that. The combination of things like that. So
we had a lot of fun. It was great. I think we'll probably do it again at some point. And, the one other thing I wanted to mention about that was cool was the food. Buster and Jen combined to give us recommendations on restaurants. We ate ethnic food or Cleveland-centric food every single meal, and it was really fun.
So what is Cleveland-centric food?
Well, Cleveland had a lot of immigrants, Polish, Italian, and so we went to Sokolovsky's for one meal, and it was like a Polish, like a buffet. And that was incredible. Pierogies,
Okay, got
it. We just hit some Cleveland food hotspots. There was a place that we had lunch that was Middle Eastern, Mediterranean Middle Eastern food. So it was just super fun. Cleveland's a great city, and if you haven't been to the Rock Hall and the Cleveland Museum of Natural History, you owe it to yourself.
It sounds like some pretty good winter birding there too.
Yeah, phenomenal winter birding. And now that the weather has really changed, it's going to be even better.
So, snowy owls. You guys saw 4 snowy owls?
We saw 6 over the weekend. We saw 4 in one day.
This is
2 in another.
We're having a pretty great year for birders and non-birders who want to see snowy owls. I can't tell you how many people I know in Madison who have come up to me who are not birders, but they know that I'm a bird watcher, and they're saying, when you see a snowy owl somewhere, let us know. We want to see a snowy owl this winter. It's one of those birds that just gets people.
Yeah, and I don't think being Hedwig, being the species that's Hedwig in Harry Potter, that's really helped. I think that's, people knew it was an owl, and they might have even known it was an owl that was white like snow. But for people to know, oh, that's a snowy owl, and they're coming in, and to hear, it's been on the news in a lot of places. So we tried just the other day to go see our friends from Swarovski were visiting. Yeah. We wanted to go take them to see a snowy owl. We tried for the one that's been here south of Marietta, down in Parkersburg, West Virginia. Did not see it, although I looked at my email last night, and it was seen again last night. Yeah. So I
haven't seen one yet this year in this eruption.
Well, there's still a chance. We might want to zip down there anyway this afternoon and see. But the neat thing is, it's a mega bird that people can see, and they're not hard to spot, despite our bad luck the other day, because when there's no snow on the ground, as there often is here in this part of Appalachia, it sticks out like a sore thumb. Like the only thing that sticks out that much would be a white garbage bag up in a tree.
Exactly.
So,
which unfortunately there's plenty of around.
Yeah. Well, so the reason this is happening, we think, is that there was a surplus of lemmings last summer, which meant a surplus of food for snowy owls, which meant the adults could bring tons and tons of food back to the nestlings. So they probably had maybe bigger than normal clutches of eggs.
A surplus of owls.
Better than normal survival and a surplus of owls. So now, with this surplus population, or I don't want to say surplus, with this expanded population, they're pushing south looking for food, looking for places to spend the winter. And I don't know how many are in Ohio right now, probably 25 or so. There are just reports everywhere. And it's a great, great winter for those of you listening out there. A few years ago when this happened, maybe 10 years ago or so, I don't remember the exact year, they made it as far as Florida and Texas.
Yeah, I remember. I think it was maybe 7 years ago, and that's when Scott Weidenthal and a couple other folks launched Project Snowstorm, which was kind of, I think, initiated by a series of bird observatories and trying to track the movements of them, the behavior of these owls down here, and still going. And of course, I would say anyone who wants to know more about this year's eruption, if you just go on your favorite search engine, type in Project Snowstorm. I'm sure it's getting a ton of traffic these days, and there's updates about where owls are. I know in Wisconsin, a birder there up in the northern part of the state, Ryan Brady, has been doing a good job of keeping tabs of all the northern owls coming in, all the snowy owls coming in around the Great Lakes area, and there's tons of them around.
Well, and the reason it's Project Snowstorm is SNOW is the Bander's code for snowy owl.
That's right.
SN for snowy, OW for owl. So snowy owl, it's a snowy owl winter, and you never know when there's going to be another one. The sad thing about it is most of these are young birds that are coming down. They're naive. They often end up in places where there's not enough food.
Yeah.
They run out of steam, and So the one thing we want to stress, if you are going to see an owl, or if you're watching an owl and you see somebody doing this, give the birds space. They're already stressed enough. Don't approach them too closely. Don't try to get a selfie with them with your cell phone. If you want to watch them from a scope, from a distance, or with your binoculars, give them a couple hundred yards. Just leave them alone.
If you're able to approach them and they don't fly away, that does not mean they're comfortable with you. That just means that they're probably
out of gas.
Yeah, out of gas, exactly. Yeah. They don't know what to do because they're not used to dealing with people. So snowy owls, though, for many have been really kind of a spark bird. One of those creatures that gets you into birding.
It was my spark bird.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, it was when I was a kid in Pella, Iowa. I've told this story a bunch of times. We were raking leaves, and right around Thanksgiving, and there was a snow coming, and we wanted to get the leaves up off the lawn. We had these huge oak trees in front of our old house. We lived in what had been the house of a company a family that owned a nursery. Mm-hmm. And so the nursery was out of business, and we lived in the house.
Like a tree nursery.
Not like a kid nursery.
Yeah, no,
right, no. But, and so, it's kind of an odd place, although down below us were all these rolling sort of hay meadows that were slowly being turned into housing developments. But they weren't that yet. And this big white bird flew up into the big horizontal branch of the oak tree, and I spotted it, and I said, "Mom, what's that?" And she said, "That looks like one of those big white owls. Run in and get the binoculars and the bird book." Now, we weren't bird watchers yet. Mm-hmm. This was probably 1967 or 68, so I was 5 or 6 years old.
Okay. And
I ran in and got the binoculars and these old things from World War I that my mom's dad had brought back from France, and the Chester Reed Guide, and sure enough, snowy owl. And the Mrs. Verplug, the old lady who lived across the street, who'd grown up in this on this farm, said, "Oh yeah, that bird comes every so often, maybe every 10 years or so." Well, obviously not the same bird.
Yeah.
But it was cool, and I still remember that. And looking in the bird book, I wanted to match the pictures of the birds, and I spent a lot of time.
And that's what. And without that experience, there might be no.
Yeah, we moved to Marietta. My mom got involved in a bird club, and next thing I know, I'm a bird watcher too. And we eventually started Birdwatchers Digest about
giant media empire.
Oh my gosh, burgeoning.
Yeah,
yeah. We were this close to buying, Fox.
20th Century Fox.
Yeah,
really.
With this, but Disney outbid us just at the last second.
Yep.
So
it happens. It happens.
Yes, come easy go. Mm-hmm. So Ben, what was your start? How'd you get your start in birding?
So I'm one of those people who I would say didn't have a spark bird so much as I say like a spark job. Spark job. So my background is in restoration ecology and landscape architecture. I had a chance. I spent a lot of time outdoors. Loved nature. And, essentially the way that kind of career evolved, I ended up looking for winter work and got a job at Eagle Optics. And that was my introduction to birders and bird watching.
Right. Was
through this kind of as a salesperson, because I just like talking to people. I love helping people out, and I understood bird watching enough to kind of help people get with binoculars. I love gadgets and having access to bird watching knowledge, and optics. That was the kind of secret recipe for me that really got me into birding, and it took off for me then. I would go out and watch birds here or there, but didn't have that great of binoculars, and wasn't that great of an experience.
Right.
Good optics, and like I said, access to really knowledgeable people made a world of difference for me. And so that was just, then I started diving into the field guides and going places and seeing birds and talking to people about birds. But it was really through that job that I was able to get into birding. And it was, and one of the things about it was it's not just the birds and the being outdoors and the ecology, but talking to birders all the time was such a fantastic thing. I would spend time on the phone.
They're pretty nice
talking
people.
with birders. They're super nice people. They're smart. They're engaging, and I would just learn so much from them. I had such a great time talking with them. So, I've been missing. I've been out of the optics business for about a year now.
Yep.
And really thinking.
But who's counting?
Yeah, who's counting? I'm thinking it's time to get back into that. I think it's time to jump back into selling optics to bird watchers. I love doing it. Now, I'm not going to be leaving Birdwatchers Digest. We just got to figure out how to make that happen, because it's something that brought me joy, being able to help someone, give them a tool that just can, be that on-ramp into great birdwatching experiences. And
what an interesting thing to say, Ben, is this. You're always full of ideas. You are a talky, helpy person.
I'm a talky, helpy person, and I love people, and I am just, we'll see where we can go with that.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think that's about it for this episode of Out There with the Birds.
Yeah, we got to think on that whole optics thing for a little bit.
Yeah, gosh, now my brain hurts.
So Bill, since we're talking about rock and roll music in the Hall of Fame, I think we have to have a Out There with the Birds Rock and Roll Hall of Fame edition music recommendation from you.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this. I love the app Shazam because you can be listening to the radio.
I love the word Shazam.
Shazam. And you can be listening to a song on the radio and, wow, that's really cool. I wonder who that is. And you can hit this little app. And if you've got enough sound quality, it'll tell you the song. And I have a couple, but I'm going to save them for next week.
I think Shazam is becoming one of those words that is starting to become a verb. Like, you should Google this. You got to just go Shazam that.
Shazam the heck out of that. Yep. But I'm going to go another throwback here because I referenced this earlier in the podcast. If you've never heard Prince play the guitar solo on While My Guitar Gently Weeps, you got to Google it and get it. It was the tribute to George Harrison. His son, Danny Harrison, who looks just like him, was on stage. This is a video that we saw at the Rock Hall, but you can see it all on YouTube. It's been shared a million times. Tom Petty's on stage. He just died this year.
Yep.
He's playing guitar. He was
Some
a best
pretty
friend.
big all-stars there.
He was best friend with George Harrison. And Prince is on stage, and he plays this solo. And he mimics some of the stuff that was in the original While My Guitar Gently Weeps solo by George Harrison. And I believe maybe Eric Clapton played some on that solo too, or maybe if it did play the solo. Anyway, Prince kind of echoes that a little bit, but then plays this other stuff.
He Princed it up a little bit.
He Princed it up. And Buster Banish, who was our guide at the Rock Hall, said he's seen Prince twice. The first time he went, he couldn't even move. His wife kept asking him if he was okay. He was just so gobsmacked. He said Prince was the absolute confluence of James Brown, Michael Jackson, and Jimi Hendrix. So,
wow.
I'm getting my musical recommendation is dig some down into Prince, but definitely listen to that guitar solo on While My Guitar Gently Weeps. As a guitar player, it made me want to literally wrap my hands in gauze and never unwrap them because it was so brilliant and so creative and so inspiring. So there you go.
It's a good recommendation. Solid recommendation there, Bill.
Thanks, man. Okay, well, everybody, thanks for listening. This is episode 26. Hard to believe.
26, huh?
Yep. We'll catch you next time. Until then,
this is Ben.
This is Bill.
We're out there with the birds.
Later.
And that's a wrap for this episode of Out There with the Birds. Special thanks to Koa, our optics sponsor. Learn more about their fine line of birding products at sportingoptics.koa-usa.com. We're also supported by the Reader Rendezvous birding adventures from Birdwatchers Digest. Your next birding adventure starts at birdwatchersdigest.com/RR. Tune in next time for some more yakking from the Krakens, Bill and Ben. Until then, keep your grouse drumming and your hummingbirds humming, and we'll see you out there with the birds. Bye for now.